Today we'll talk about the most used CTA within a product. CTA is call to action, but today we'll talk about buttons. Buttons are the most important elements in a product while you're designing it. Why that button? What kind of a buttons? How do we use it? We'll learn that in this video. Stay tuned. Buttons helps the users to take an action within the product. You can use in various states of buttons, various types of buttons to make users take a decision while they are doing or performing an action within the product. If you want to make a step-by-step process where the user selects and goes to the journey ending process of a product, you can use a lot of buttons, and you can also psychologically play around with these buttons to help you make an choice which you don't want to make for the user. How many types of buttons, how many types of shades, how many types of kind of structures we can use within a button, we learn that in this video, right? Let's take an example. There are different types of buttons. One is fill buttons. There is buttons with strokes, there is buttons with only text, and there is also toggle buttons. What does it mean? Let's build. I'll take a shape and I'll write PUTT. This is what we call a button. Now, this is a fill button. Take this one, remove the fill. What we have is a line button. Now, remove this, make another copy of it, remove the stroke. Now you only have a text button. Generally, sometimes it comes with the underline, but still, this is a button. There is also kind of a button we say as toggle buttons. What are toggle buttons? For example, if you use Excel sheets, yes, is bold, italics, and underline. You can toggle those states of button and how those buttons are used. These are the different types of buttons, what we say. A size of a button is very important when you're building for a product. In case of when you're building for a mobile devices, our finger sizes also factors when you're building the size of a button. For example, you're building a size for a big size monitor when you're using it within a website. You don't need that button to gain size. But if you want the users to look at that button in a more highlighted emphasis manner, you can generally use sizes of the buttons to be a bit larger so that users can see when they're landing on the page. Point is, you can use button sizes, but don't go more than 72 pixels. That will break your UI. But my point is, use button sizes carefully within what kind of a consumable area or you are seeing that product and you want to use the button sizes. Too big looks ugly, too small not touchable. Keep that in mind. There are different kinds of shape. Right now what you see is a very rectangular and a squarish kind of a shape and sharp edges, which gives a very professional looking to your UIs. But once you have also seen that there are, for example, in Figma, you go here, there are independent corners and there are corner radiuses. Once you give more corner radius to this, it turns that into a more circular manner, which gives a more subtle look to your UI or a more friendly approach towards your UI. But what you want, mix of both worlds. You go and give, for example, 10. It has small rounded corners, but you have also that professional shape, which is, best of both worlds. This is the different types of buttons you can, or different shapes of button you can use while you're designing your design system. What is design system? Learn that in a previous video which I shared, link in the description below. Go check it out. What is design system? You will get a brief understanding about it. Usage of buttons. For example, you have a button which is like this, but this button is save, this button is cancel, and you, for example, also have a cross icon. This is coming, for example, within a pop-up. For example, I'll give you that one also. I'll take one frame, goes behind. There is, for example, some text or something like this. This is coming as a pop-up. There is some text written. I'll quickly say, are you sure? With some descriptive, get some ideas. What happens now, there are two types of buttons. I want the user to take the step of saving this. So I want the user to get your focus attention over here. But I don't want the user to focus on the cancel. I don't want generally the user to cancel. So I'll remove this also. This gives you an emphasis of how you can use your buttons to take or lead the user to take the decision of using what button I think as a UX designer you should take to make your product experience better. The last thing is to try to understand what states that buttons are. States in the sense what I'm talking about. For example, the state of this button is active, what you see. There is a state of every button where we, for example, have this inactive state. The button is not active for you. You can play around with some shapes also from this. There is a focus state when you focus or when you press on the button, the color and the depth of that interaction appears on the buttons. That is a focus state. There is also one hover state when you hover your mouse. So these are the states. I think you should cover everything in your design system before you start making your UI. Try to use these design principles of buttons and how you should strategically place and use buttons in your designs to uplift your next product. If you like this video, if you learned a bit about how to design buttons, how different types of buttons, and you didn't knew about it, please don't forget to subscribe below. Give a thumbs up button, that really helps, and keep supporting. See you in the next video. Bye bye.